Now, it was a massive weekend of NFL on talkSPORT. In the season opener, the Eagles held off the Cowboys despite a lightning delay and a bit of a spitting incident as well. On Friday in Sao Paulo, the Chargers took a narrow win to stun the Chiefs. We may have seen the game of the season on Sunday night as the Bills came back from nowhere to beat the Ravens at 41-40 with a last-minute field goal. And overnight, live on talkSPORT 2, the Minnesota Vikings came back from 10 points down to beat the Chicago Bears.
Shotgun snap to the quarterback. He fakes it to run it himself. Over the right tackle, the 10. Got a block at the 5. Sideline, pylon, touchdown! J.J. McCarthy with a touchdown run of 14 yards. This quarterback in his NFL debut is doing it all.
I am now joined by talkSPORT NFL presenter. Alan Brazil calls him Big Ginge, but to me and you, it's Will Gavin. Will, another good comeback in this game tonight for those who weren't listening on talkSPORT.
Big Ginge over Big Ange all day long.
Big Ginge and Big Ange. This is the combo.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, listen, we did 6 games on talkSPORT over the weekend, over the opening weekend. You mentioned some of the unbelievable games we've had. Every game was decided by a single score or less. Every game saw a comeback late on. It was just a perfect week one full of high drama. And actually, it looked like the Vikings and the Bears tonight on talkSPORT 2 weren't going to deliver. But what you had was the youngest starting quarterback in the NFL in J.J. McCarthy, drafted last year, injured his knee before the season. So even though he's in year 2, was making his NFL debut tonight. He's from a small suburb outside of Chicago. He's playing for the Minnesota Vikings, the Bears' biggest rival, on the road in Chicago.
Wow.
And going into the fourth quarter, he was having a stinker. He'd thrown a horrible interception, which had been returned for a touchdown. He was just struggling to move the ball up and down the field. The Chicago defense were playing sensationally. And then in the fourth quarter, he put the team on his back. 3 touchdowns in 3 drives, 2 big throws, that rushing touchdown you just heard there. And there seemed to be this click, this moment that it all fell into place for him. And it's a Vikings team we're seeing in Dublin in 3 weeks' time, live on talkSPORT 2, that are then playing in London against the Browns as well. And so we need this team to be good. They're a team we're going to be watching a lot this year. And honestly, it turned from a nightmare debut into a dream debut in the space of 1 quarter. Just sensational stuff.
And we mentioned the Bills versus the Ravens. Do you feel like that could be the game of the season already?
And we went into week 1 saying this might be the game of the season. Why are they giving it to us in week 1? And then no one was complaining by sort of 4:30 a.m. on Monday morning. We talked about a big comeback there. The Vikings, I think, in the NFL, we have a thing, it's a little bit like win-viz in cricket, where you have a percentage probability of whatever outcome of the game's going to be. Going into the fourth quarter, after he threw that interception, the Vikings were like, I think, a 7.7% chance of winning. On Sunday Night Football, with 9 minutes remaining, the Buffalo Bills had a 1.1% chance of winning that game of football. They were down 15. They had just no way of stopping the Ravens. And then 2 touchdowns, a field goal, a turnover, everything that could possibly have happened at the end of that game. A stunning comeback for the Buffalo Bills. This was a repeat of a game that happened in the playoffs back in January, a rematch of a big divisional round game. And a lot of people think this will end up being the AFC Championship game, the semi-final for the Super Bowl. These are probably the 2 best teams in that conference. And they delivered to us a 41-40 absolute slobber knocker to kick off the season. And if we get to run this back again in January, I'm all for it.
Love it. Now, one of the things that we've spoken about before when you were on is, the lightning incident. Is this a little bit of a concern for football or soccer fans ahead of the World Cup?
Yeah, massively. I actually ended up raising this in a talkSPORT staff meeting yesterday because look, I was working when Chelsea had a 3-hour lightning delay in Carolina this past summer. I was working on Thursday night with you when we had the lightning delay, which delayed the opening game of the season by an hour. Same rules. 1 lightning strike equals restarting the clock another half an hour. Luckily, it didn't go on for that long with the NFL. But then on Sunday night, the Jaguars and the Panthers game, this time in Jacksonville, another area where just down the road from Miami, a place where we're going to be seeing games in the World Cup next summer, another lightning delay, an hour plus on that game on top of it. And we're talking about September now. Like, in theory, those storms, those kind of lightning storms, those big summer, huge storms that roll in are meant to be subsiding at this point. I have real concerns for Fortunately, Atlanta is a domed stadium, but there are 3 or 4 of those other southern state stadiums which look like they could be a real risk. If England get drawn in one of those groups in December, we're going to have to start making contingencies now. Adrian Durham better be ready to find some content to fill for an hour and a half. That man can talk for England, but he's literally going to have to if those lightning delays roll in during the World Cup.
I mean, I was in Germany at the men's Euros, and there was an electrical storm at one game, and that was...
I remember that. Yeah, it's semi-final as well.
That was awful, so I can only imagine. But finally, before we let you go, what have we got next week?
So Thursday night, we're not even that far away, 3 days' time. The Green Bay Packers, who look brilliant in their win over the Lions this weekend, and on our YouTube channel at talkSPORT USA, big piece up about Micah Parsons. We talked about him last week, the guy they traded for. He was sensational on Sunday night. He only played half of the defensive snaps and looked like the best player on the field. So he's in action, facing off with the Washington Commanders. We've got that game live on talkSPORT 2. And then Sunday night, the Bills, who had that big comeback against the Jets, before the Vikings, who we've just seen have that big comeback on Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. 3 more live games, and then it all rolls towards Dublin, London, Berlin, Madrid, the Super Bowl in San Francisco. The next 25 weeks of my life are nuts, but I cannot wait.
I do not blame you. That sounds absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Now, don't forget, for all your NFL needs, you can go to the talkSPORT USA YouTube page for all the reaction, exclusive interviews, and wild hot takes. Don't forget, you can listen to all our stations on the talkSPORT app. If you want some music, Virgin Radio's there. There's even a Virgin Radio Britpop station on the app. Or for news, you can find Talk and Times Radio. Just swipe between our stations.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.